because one of your values was the community.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, just in that moment, and what made you decide to not down tools completely, but
No, I think with
it says a lot for who you are.
I think with COVID, I remember when the financial recession happened in 2008, where the global markets all crashed, the banks all started going under. I was in finance at the time, and that sort of everything went to shit. And I remember spending my time watching the news every day excessively about everything's going on, need to know what's going on, and it just is the biggest mood hoover you could possibly get, to the point it almost put me into a depressional state. So with COVID, I refused to watch any of it. I actually believed it would last about a week. I think I said to you, I'll be over, but in a couple of weeks. You're like, this won't be over in a couple of weeks. And I didn't have any idea really what was going on. And what was interesting was when they've locked the country down, I sort of realised that the people within the system, the care system, were getting the support. So the people who are ill, elderly, we've already got carers, they're all getting all that support. But there was like loads of vulnerable people who weren't in the care system because they weren't at that stage, but they were still vulnerable, and they couldn't, even go into a shop, you're queuing 2 meters apart down a freezing cold high street to get their medication. And it was very scary times. So I said to Andrew, like, why don't we just get some leaflets in the town out and just say to people, if they need some things done, some shopping or meds picked up and all that, we'll go and do it for them. Because I don't want to sit around and watch this shit. I want to go out and do something different, do something that matters, and it will help us mentally, because we'll feel like we're giving and helping, which is great, and for the people that need the help, hopefully it will support them. And I said, let's do like 1,000 each, and we'll see what happens. And we ended up there was probably every 1,000 leaflets, we probably got 5 people contact us. And I thought that was unbelievable, like that many people were needing help. And they were genuine cases, some very, very elderly, whose kids lived down in Devon or up north, and they've got nobody around them, and they're but the thought of going out and all of this stuff, and even get paracetamol, you can get paracetamol in certain places, and I think we had to drive around 5 different shops, end up getting it from a petrol station because you couldn't get the stuff. So we focused all our energy on that, because what happened is we started doing the leaflets, and then we getting these responses. We started helping people, and then they went through doors of people who know us, like friends or associates or clients, and they were like, well, I'll send some leaflets. Like, if you drop me the leaflet over, like on the doorstep, we'll take them out, because you're only allowed out what it was, an hour a day or whatever they said you got to go out walking. So they said, I'd rather help. And then that ended up with like 30, 40 people delivering these leaflets all around various towns in Stevenage, Hitchin, Letchworth, Baldock. So, and then we ended up with around, I think it was like 130 people we were managing their shopping, their meds. It was quite incredible. So Andrea loved me because she had that job to sort out all those people.
Now, Andrea is your business partner's wife.
Yeah, so she was in.
She delegated that really well, didn't you?
I did delegate that well. I said, well, we're out there delivering the leaflets.
But you've done it, and you've done it for the right reasons. Because first of all, it was all about doing something positive and in a negative time. And I would say that made quite a difference to your brand.
I don't know if it did, Matt. I've
No,
got to be
I
honest.
think
I'm not
psychologically,
sure.
not that you did it for that,
maybe.
but I think that's a lasting fingerprint, isn't it, on what you see? And I think you've continued the community investment.
Yeah,
because you've got someone who manages that specifically.
Yeah, Emma works for us. She does all of the community philanthropy. That's the word, isn't it? Works. It's her job. So she's employed specifically to run. She'll probably do 4 or 5 events a year in the community, raising money for PTAs, clubs, schools, and various things, charities. We've got a golf day in September, which she'll get an invite to. So bring a 4-ball down. That's for a local, like Letchworth-based alcohol and drug centre for rehabilitation, and a human trafficking charity over Bedfordshire way, which is what Andrew knows this particular one. So we do it for 2 charities. So we're heavily focused on raising money because you've got to give back it's quite. And this is the thing with doing it. I didn't want to. Someone's like school rings you, says, "Would you help with our raffle?" He's like, "Oh, here's an iPad, or here's, I don't know, a case of wine or a hamper." It doesn't mean anything in my world. In my view, I'm not saying it doesn't. In my view, it doesn't. It's meaningless. When you're actively out there doing something, you raise a lot of money. Emma will raise. She'll do stick a massive inflatable down a splash park on a very hot Saturday and take $2,000 on the day, and then the schools PTA are there to support taking the money, and then they get all the benefits. And it's far more community focused thing, far more powerful, far more financial. And yeah, there's a cost to that, because as a business we have to pay Emma, but that is, my view is you take from your community, you give back. That's what you do. Nice. And she's great. She's very good at what she does. It's not an easy job, No. Especially dealing with councils and getting licensing for all sorts. Some of it's absolutely.
So that's a really positive part of your business and one of your values, isn't it? And
it's a key part of it.
Yeah, and just kind of, coming back to, let's say when you were moving out of COVID, that period of running your business a few years in.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, come out of COVID, it exploded really. It was quite good because we weren't involved with the news, never watched it. Andrew and I neither of us did. So, and luckily we were one of the first industries released back into the wild, if you like. And because a lot of estate agents were doing weird stuff, dressing up like beekeepers to do valuations and shit like that. And we were like, look, it's just, if the client's comfortable, are you comfortable with what's going around? Yeah. So we went round, because obviously they wouldn't ring you for valuation if they weren't comfortable. So it didn't really, we were sort of probably a little bit more softer and didn't care as much. And also because we were a small company, there's only myself, Andrew and Andrea, you don't have the layers of regulation and all the employment stuff that you guys would have, for instance, where you got to have these massive perspex things in front of your freaking staff when people are talking to you. It's just all bonkers looking back on it.
It is bonkers.
It is ridiculous, and so we found it ridiculous. So
There's a plastic screen in front of me, and then the next thing you know, you're standing together at the filing cabinet or something. It's just a bit.
It's crazy. So you're walking around with these, So we sort of. So I think what it helped us, because what it did was I remember some clients saying people wouldn't even go out to them. They were like, oh no, they want to do them on Zoom, like walk around on the camera and they'll value the house. It's like, this is just. So it helped us get a little bit of a lift up, but I think with us, the biggest thing with us, I think, in terms of how we've moved forward, is our networking has been quite excessive.
I was going to come on to that, because part of your community is also business networking.